Welcome to The Gorgeous Effect, the podcast that's about to rock your marketing world. I'm Julie Chenell, and with my co-founder, Cathy Olson, we're the masterminds behind Funnel Gorgeous and FG Funnels. We're about to drop some serious tea on how to create funnels that not only look amazing, but actually convert into customers. We'll chat mouth-watering offers, copy, design, and give you an inside look of some of our best and worst funnels. No smoke and mirrors, just real strategies that work from two ladies who have been around the funnel block. So grab your coffee or something stronger, we won't judge, and get ready to unleash the gorgeous effect on your business. It's time to show the world what you've got. Let's do this. Hey everyone, it's Julie and Cathy, and we're back for another episode of The Gorgeous Effect. Cathy, I want to sort of talk about the patterns that we have been seeing since you and I are like neck deep coaching students in our Launch Gorgeous coaching program. So before we dive in, if you have not ever heard of Launch Gorgeous, it is our twice a year coaching program, and we take people through a typical funnel and we teach them everything: the offer, the copy, the design, the tech, the social media strategy, the ad strategy, and we get them launched. It's like a real life funnel building lab, and we do it with everyone. And so this round of Launch Gorgeous, we're focusing on the low ticket funnel, the paid lead maker funnel. This is a $47 digital product. And we have been doing lots and lots of hot seats and calls. And so I always find it fascinating when we work with a large group of people, how common the patterns are. We think we're unique. We think we have a problem that's unique to us. And then when you start to see it in this big group, you're like, oh, no, none of us are special. Like we all have the same fears. We all have the same issues. We all have the same hangups. So let's talk about what we see people, where we see people get stuck in their offer creation process, specifically with a smaller product.
It's interesting because we are teaching about how to be unique, right? Like we talk about the USP, the unique selling proposition, but then we're saying, well, we're all kind of the same, but we're all kind of not. So I think it's like this balance of, you know, landing on something that people can understand, I think, right? But then also being like, what's super different about that? Like, because there's so many offers out there. So it's like a really weird like balance of trying to figure out where these people stand, but they have to connect on some point. So like, do you remember something that people were kind of getting wrong specifically with that? Like being specific, you know, about their offers? Yeah. It seemed like I saw a lot in that realm.
It's the offer part is hard because you have to really hold those two things in tension. One, you have to meet people where they're at. So the very first thing we ask as coaches in this program is like, what's the problem you're solving? And it never ceases to amaze me how many times I ask that question and people don't answer with a problem. They don't say the problem is, like they answer with the process or the solution, right?
They answer it from their perspective.
Exactly. They don't answer it from the seat of the person who has the problem. So you've got to balance that, which requires you to sort of suspend your expertise for a minute and pretend what it's like to be someone with a problem that you don't know how to solve, which is hard to do. And then you have to balance that by looking at your expertise, looking at your technique, and being like, okay, well, what's different and unique about this process? What's something new they haven't tried yet? And how do I make this process over here, this thing I do, different enough that they're like, I'm going to choose that one over all the others? This side of it, on the left side, the technical side, requires you to be really creative and kind of come up with a process or a mechanism that's unique and gets you deep in your teacher and your expert. The other side requires you to basically forget all of that exists and just focus on the problem. And then bringing those two things together is how you get a good offer. Very, very difficult to actually do. It's much easier to explain, to say, than it is to do.
Yeah. So Julie is really, when she's kind of on these hot seat calls, she's really about thinking about that piece about the offer and how it's like what you're actually teaching. And it's interesting because on my perspective, what I do for Funnel Gorgeous, but like just where my genius zone lies is how we are actually selling that thing and living in that place of how do we market this now. And so Julie's like really focusing on, you know, the actual offer. What are you creating inside? What's the transformation? information that you're bringing forth. But then I'm like, okay, but how do we get in their mind and actually sell this to them and make it make sense? And so, when I'm doing the hot seats, I'm talking about, I want you to imagine them being in this funnel, right? There a lot of times there's offers where they're like, and then I'm going to offer this. And I'm like, you have 10 milliseconds for them to understand this. And they're like, and they send this, like, the order bump is like this, dissertation, or the logo is like really fancy. And I'm like, they're not even it's going to be the size of a postage stamp on their page.
Right.
And you have one paragraph, like, there's no way you're going to, so I'm constantly thinking about the experience of buying it. Whereas you're thinking about the experience of, like, the ahead of time, but also going through it and making a transformation. So it's really cool how we have these two approaches to that. Yeah.
So one of the things that we did, because we had to do like 100 hot seats in 2 weeks, so it was a lot. And it was crazy.
I remember when you came up with that idea, and I was like, what have you done today that gave you this idea?
We did it, but it was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. And so we had people fill out what, it's like, I call it an offer brief. And there's all different versions of offer briefs. But for this one, it was basically like, what's included in your offer, and what's the title, what's the, like, tagline, what's the price, and then what's the logo. And they had to submit this. And then we had 5 minutes to basically look at it and assess. And what's interesting is that the people who submitted their homework without the logo versus the people with the logo. And, you may not think about this when you're crafting an offer. You might be like, oh, I'll figure out the name and logo later. But we saw a huge difference in the ability to understand quickly what the offer was about when there was a name and a logo versus when there wasn't. And you actually pointed that out when we first started.
Yeah, and obviously I'm a very visual person, but I think for the most part, a lot of humans are more visual than we think that we are, because a lot of people were surprised at that. I wouldn't have been surprised at that at all. I'd be like, of course, this is like preaching to the choir, but everybody in the comments that was watching, because remember, these weren't even just students. We had an open house, really for anybody to watch. So there was a lot of people watching the first week of these hot seats, which was actually a cool thing in its own. But, so these are brand new people watching, and they were all going, oh my gosh, it makes such a difference, right? Like they immediately understood the ones with logos, because I know you guys aren't looking at it. So just imagine if you're looking at like a workbook spreadsheet, and the offer was on the left and the logos were on the right. So they were right next to each other. So we could immediately see the visual version of the name, the colors, like getting some vibe from it, right? And I think people in the chat, and maybe even you, probably not you as much, but we're surprised. But the people in the chat were shocked that, like, oh my gosh, this makes a huge difference. I immediately understand it when I see these visuals. And I was like, thank you. This is what I've been saying. But it was a really good thing. And so I think it actually pushed people to work on their logos, even if they weren't like 100% ready, right? Like they were just but having any kind of visual really brought it home.
Yeah, for sure. So we saw a lot of, because the way the PLM funnel works, the paid lead maker funnel works, is that you offer one offer in front. That's what we call like the main offer, and that's the $50 or less. Then you can add an order bump, which is sort of a quick yes, add to cart kind of moment at checkout. And then when they complete the checkout, they actually are offered a one-time offer upsell. And this is another example of the difference between thinking like a teacher and thinking like a marketer. So I looked at a few of them, and I noticed that they would put the bigger offer, I put that in quotes, the bigger offer in the back, because it was like the $97 offer or whatever. And this would be like what they really wanted to sell, right? Something like more comprehensive. And then they would sort of scrimp around or try to find something in front of it for the main offer. And you could tell almost instantly. And I would say, no, switch it around. Like, people want what's in back in front. They'll never get to what's in back if you don't make what's in front as irresistible, if not more irresistible than what's in back. There were a few times where it was very obvious that the OTO needed to become the main offer. And that did flip heads a little bit. They were like, well, wait. And they were immediately like, but that has more modules. Like, should I shorten the modules, right? Because they're thinking in their teacher brain of like, this course is too big for a $37 offer. But what you're not
That's the point.
I know. That is the point. But what you're not thinking about is the funnel is a whole suite of offers, this particular funnel. So if you're getting an average cart value of $55, like you're actually getting more than what that main offer cost is. And it just shows how much people get stuck in their silos about products and they don't see the larger strategy until a coach points it out.
Yeah, you're totally right that you will increase your conversions, you'll get more shares. I mean, like you got to lead with the good thing, right? And really, because, but I understand it. I mean, I think it's a little bit of scarcity, right? You're like, I don't want to give this much away, especially if you're coming from the high ticket world. I know we've talked about this before, but if you're coming from the high ticket world, you realize how valuable this stuff you're giving away is. And it's just like hard. It's almost like when I buy something and then I'm decluttering and then I see it and I'm like, I haven't used this, but I know how much it cost me originally. And then like I've hired organizers and they're like, girl, just get rid of it. I'm like, but I paid this. And it's like you can't separate the value in your mind, right? And you're like, I'm giving it away, this basically away for free when I charge clients this. You have to get over that. It's so important for you to let go of what the value is, because that's not the point. They don't trust you. They're skeptics, right? So
they don't know.
They don't know how valuable you are. Literally, they don't know. So you have to show them. You have to give it for less than it's like worth in your brain, because then they will trust you. You build that like reciprocity vacuum, right? And so I think that's the number one like scarcity like problem when people are doing these offers is not understanding that you have to come value first.
Yeah. I think telling people to like put on your teacher hat versus put on your marketer hat, because it's such different frames of reference. And the teacher wants to have something new that's different, that's unique, that's never been done before, and that's valuable. But the marketer wants to be on the right street corner where all the people are. And so if you can't switch those hats quickly, you really get messed up. And I'll tell you, I talk to people every single day, and they're so tripped up about the container and the modules or the membership or the price or whatever it is, and they're not thinking about the transformation or the person. And so it's been really interesting. We've had a few that knocked it out of the park on the first try, but it was probably like maybe 5% of people got it right on the first try. 95% of people needed like
they needed the hot seat.
They needed the hot seat. They needed
100 of them.
And there were a few people, I think, that like they posted in the Facebook group, because we could only give one hot seat. So, the second round, the third round, we could see they were still working. And it was funny. After that, it's like, then the stuff like write the copy, design the funnel, do the tech, all the things that people think are hard. They're like, oh, well, that's easy compared to the offer. And it's true. The offer is 100% the hardest part.
I mean, it's so important, and everything lies on that. So, because you can have amazing copy, you can have amazing design, you can have all those things, but if that offer is not there, they're never going to even see it. They're never going to get there. They're not going to pay attention enough to get into your funnel and purchase, right?
Yeah. I think another thing that I noticed was that there were a bunch of people who really couldn't finalize the offer in the offer process. They were trying, and then they did the copy, and then all of a sudden they said they had clarity about the offer in the writing of the copy. And we teach this.
It totally makes sense, because it gives it a place to live, right? It's not only you're just like kind of backing up what you said, but I think you start to think like a marketer, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, well, not because you're literally marketing it, right? You're not just like pie in the sky. I could teach about this and I could teach about that, and we could like, ride a unicorn on a rainbow. But like, okay, cool. Well, how do we sell that, right? How do we actually put that in terms that that they're talking about? That we always talk about when, especially with, I think, with AI, assistants and stuff, sometimes it gets so word salady and weird and like copy, and you're like, what are you even saying? But
what are you doing?
Yeah. What is happening? I can't even understand this. if I need AI to understand your copy, that like to break it down for me, then that's a problem.
We have a problem.
But yeah, so I think that was the other thing is we were like, talk like normal people talk. You're talking to normal people. We're selling to normal humans that maybe don't have 100% brain capacity reading your copy. Right? Like, I think people think that they sit down with a cup of coffee or tea and like, okay, I'm going to read the sales page now. I'm fully paying attention. Nothing else is happening in my life. I have no stress. Nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they're looking on their phone. They have someone else in there, like they have a baby in their hand or, you know what I mean? It's like real life. You gotta say it like, talk to me like I'm 5 kind of type deal. And so I think that was really helpful to hear, to have people think through that when they're writing the copy.
Yeah. So one thing that you may or may not know is that in preparation to coach people on the PLM, we had the brainiac idea to launch a brand new PLM ourselves. Now, this was not our first PLM. We've done them before. And I personally have coached lots of PLMs, really famous ones that people maybe don't realize that I was, the coach behind. And so despite all the rapport and all the authority and our success doing our own PLMs, we're like, let's build a PLM, a brand new PLM, like brand new, offers, copy, design, tech, everything. And let's do it in 2 weeks and let's sell it and then turn around and give everything we just built to our students. And so I just want to give everyone an update on how our PLM is doing. Because, we had 2 weeks. We are giving our students 6 weeks to do it and all the material. So there's a shortcut. But I don't know if you've looked at the funnel, but, usually the more traffic goes through it, the conversion rates go down. And the conversion rates have gone slightly down from where they were originally. But we are deep in selling to cold traffic at this point.
Yeah.
So I took a look at the page and we've had over 6,000 people visit the page. And we have had, somewhere in the ballpark, I'm going to have to do math in my head, 363 students purchase through this funnel. So if I take 363 and I divide it by 6,000, we're at about a 6% conversion rate to cold traffic, which is excellent.
Traffic.
Yeah, you expect between like 1% and 3%.
In an election cycle that that's pretty unheard of.
Our order bump is continuing to convert at 44%, which is more than double what we expect. We expect 20%. We're at 44%. And then the best part of this funnel, which I'm really excited about, is our OTO, our $77 OTO, which is called Speed of Write. And that is converting at 37%. And that is what is making the funnel as profitable as it is. Just goes to show that the way the offers are stacked in the funnel, how they are stacked, how they are presented, how they are named and described really does make a difference. This is a funnel that we'll be able to run for a very long time. So those 2 weeks of work were worth it.
Yeah, heck yeah, they were. I mean, not only
1,000.
And I remember, like, because we haven't launched one in so long, you're like, I have a sneaking, I think this is going to work. I really feel good about this. But, like, if it doesn't, and then we try to, like, turn around and teach it, we're going to look really silly. But, I mean, I never doubt it. Like, sometimes Julie's like,
I doubt myself all the time.
She does doubt, but I don't ever doubt. Like, because we have, like, 100% of, like, it works out. Okay, and I don't want to say that. I don't want to say we don't fail, because we do make mistakes, but I don't really see them as mistakes, so I kind of forget about them. I think I'm like because we immediately turn them around into like, okay, we just pivot and shift and we just do something about it, right? So I also think that Julie has a way of not like overestimating, which helps, right? Like you'll
my personality is naturally more conservative, so I'll be like, well, maybe we'll do this, maybe. So we always tend to meet or exceed my expectations because they're pretty conservative to begin with.
Yeah, whereas I'm like, this is going to do like the most amazing thing ever. So I'm glad we're not going on my expectations. We've talked about that before, about how Julie just almost
I'm like,
out.
where exactly
Everybody.
did you acquire that expectation? Can you show me? Was math at all involved in that expectation?
Yeah, I tend to fly around at the clouds, and then Julie has to bring me down to earth a lot. But I mean, I think it's a good thing. But it is also why, conversion rates are so important. I was actually showing somebody the back end and some stats, and they're like, "Where are you getting these stats? These are amazing." I'm like, FG funnels. Like, you don't have these stats. Like, how do you function without knowing? Yeah, like, because I mean, you have to just yes, right? I mean, you'd have to be like, I think it's doing well.
That's a really good point about this. So in this current coaching program that we're doing, Launch Gorgeous, we tell people that it's platform agnostic. Technically, you can do this in any platform you want, but we make it super, super easy with FG funnels, and we give you all the training and all the tools, and it's a one click. And it never ceases to amaze me that people who are beginners still want to make it harder on themselves by using another tool. And I don't think they think they're making it harder, but they absolutely are making it harder just because it all has to be rebuilt. But I see people using non-funnel builders for funnels. And I said to someone the other day, it wasn't someone in Launch Gorgeous, it was a private client. I said, listen, once you have a funnel, a PLM funnel running, and you're running $300, $400, $500 a day in traffic, that means you have a lot of traffic coming to that page, and you need to do split testing. So if your funnel builder doesn't have stats and split testing, those two pieces alone are worth paying $97 a month for a tool that's going to give you the stats every single day and then allow you to run A/B split tests. Like, I don't understand how people run traffic to pages that don't allow you to split test. Like, it boggles my mind. So we definitely encourage you, if you are going to do any funnel, you build it in a funnel builder. Like, WordPress is great for some things, sure. Like, you love Squarespace or Show It, fine. Like, but when it's funnels, when you're running funnels, take it from someone who's an expert. Like, don't do it unless you have a true funnel builder. It's just, you're going to waste your money.
100%. And I think it's just, what people are used to, right? They don't want to start on a whole new program. But
yeah,
I do tell, if you're building a machine that makes money, I mean, obviously, hopefully, you need to be able to track your money, right? Like it's like throwing your money in a bank and you don't even know how much is in there or something, or you're an investment and you don't see any stats. It's like, it seems kind of crazy that you would put your like money building machine in something where you can't actually like fine tune it or make sure that you're making, like updates. And especially since, ever since I started that game where I spin and I talk about conversion hacks and stuff, you have to have it. Like, I was teaching someone about that the other day, and they're like, how do we know if it's doing better now? I'm like, well, split testing. And they're like, oh, well, how do you split? I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, and you can, I mean, I guess you could get a spreadsheet out and like write all that data, but like, oof, I wouldn't want to. If you guys could see Julie's face, you're like shuddering. I wouldn't want to do that. I mean, that's a lot of work. And I don't even know. You'd have to, send people to different, because the way an A/B test works is it sends a certain amount of traffic to different pages. I don't know how you'd do that one.
Well, because you'd have to change it. But why are we even discussing it? Because it's such a pain in the ass. Like, you'd have to change it on the page and then pray that you didn't make a bad change. And like, it's just not, Anyway, so I think the moral of the story is that if you are going to build a funnel that's going to produce for you for a long time, or you're even going to just experiment with a funnel that may or may not produce for you for a long time, it's important to get coaching. It's important to understand there are two hats. There's the marketing hat, there's the teaching hat. It's important to understand that visuals, even in the very beginning in the planning process, make a difference. And it's important to know that the tools that you use really do matter in the long-term efficacy. So, I mean, I would say those are the big themes that are coming up for us as we're coaching. We'll keep you posted. In a couple of weeks, you'll see an email from us showing off our students' work. So excited to do that. I'm so excited to do that. So, and hopefully Black Friday, we will bring the PLM coaching and education back out so people can purchase it and do it for the new year. So that'll be fun.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this year. it's going to be a fun Black Friday, but also just like all the stuff that we're doing, and we're kind of like seeing if stuff works so that you guys don't have to test it. Like we're kind of failing for you guys or succeeding for you. And then we always tell you what happens. So, and especially now that we have this podcast, I'm really excited to be able to share that with everybody.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to the Gorgeous Effect podcast. Now it's time to hit that funnel builder and turn heads and wallets with your next project.